I have 6:34. Do you want to get started?
I'll start off with the adopt a drain thing I've been doing. You know, this is an initiative that we started when I was working with Costello in the recovery office, resilience office, whatever, flood czar office, whatever anybody wants to call it. And I wish it was my idea, but it wasn't my idea. Jesse Bounds, who works for the mayor, who's the chief innovation director or whatever, he had said that he'd seen several cities that had done this adopted storm drain, program. And so we just kind of glommed onto it and got with Public Works and got with IT and kicked off the program. We actually kicked it off in the Westbury area about, I don't know, 2 years ago, in April of probably 2018. And it got a big splash at the beginning. A lot of people adopted drains. I mean, the city spends over $13 million a year cleaning out storm drains. We're not going to eliminate all that cost, but we can certainly help. I mean, there's several things at play here. You know, everything that goes in the storm drains ends up in the bayou and the bay. I mean, we have laws against blowing things down the storm drains. Really hard to enforce. By the time somebody gets out there, the lawn guy is long gone. But really, we used it as kind of an education piece. Just teach people about those storm drainage inlets that are in front of your house. Keep them clear before rainstorms, 10 feet either way. Sweep around the storm drain. It adds up, and if enough people get involved and do that, it really cuts the city's cost and helps reduce neighborhood flooding. So Julia Osemi Saeed, who some of you know, who used to work for Jerry Davis, who's on my staff now, it was her idea. None of these things are my idea. The adopt a drain thing wasn't my idea. I just implemented it. And then she said, let's have a contest to try to drive traffic to the site and pick up some more adoptees, because we got a big push at the beginning and then it kind of languished, around 1,400 drains or something like that. We have 115,000 drainage inlets in the city of Houston. Some of them are in places you can't get to, or there are major thoroughfares or whatever. So we took those out. It's about 75,000 or so to adopt. So we've got about 74,000 more to go. So we just did this name that drain contest, which really kind of took off. A lot of people, we increased participation by 16%, but the way city IT was, I was like, we just need one button for them to do all this. They're like, no, they're going to have to go to naming contest. And a lot of people adopted drains, but they didn't hit naming contest and fill out this form. So we had a big participation in adopting drains and less participation in actually entering the contest. But we still had a fair amount, and again, increased the number of drains adopted by 16%. So we're excited about that. This week we'll be announcing the winner, and the winner's going to get $500 worth of power tools, donated by the Houston Tool Bank. And then there'll be a community choice. We're going to give you some names. So I'll send it to Barbara. She can get it out to everybody, and you guys can choose your favorite drain name, and they get a prize. They get some other tools and stuff as well. So that's been fun. I know, Barbara, you got it out. I know you guys really helped me publicize it. So, we're just doing all we can to educate people about what they can do to reduce neighborhood flooding and kind of help us out on storm drain maintenance. So there's about 1,800 or so drains that have been adopted. We've got, like 75,000 more to adopt. So still a long way to go on this, but that was kind of a fun little thing. I am the chair of the Regulatory and Neighborhood Affairs Committee. Granted, not the committee I wanted, but I've really kind of had fun with it. The RNA committee handles the department. It handles like BARC, animal welfare issues, Department of Neighborhoods, administration and regulatory affairs. It's kind of a hodgepodge of things that it oversees. But what I've really kind of gotten into is this bar nuisance issue. And I'm not sure what all complaints you have out in the Alief area, but I'm sure there's some, because super neighborhood meeting after super neighborhood meeting that I go to, there's always noise complaints, 2 a.m. closing time complaints, kind of basic like activities that go on that are, really disruptive to people just enjoying their homes. So I am having a special called meeting. It was going to be this Thursday, but the officer's funeral, Sergeant Preston's funeral is at the same time. So we rescheduled it for November 2nd at 10 o'clock. If you're at all interested in this issue, we're going to be really covering it pretty comprehensively. We're talking to Houston Fire Department about, the fire marshal's going to talk about bar capacity issues, with the COVID shutdown, all kinds of workarounds with with how bars can operate, even though they're supposed to be closed, if they serve food or they have a food truck, or, I have 4 kids in their 20s. I know all about bars. So like they'll order a drink and then they'll get a bill for a cheeseburger, So, I mean, bars are definitely, God love them. I mean, I know a lot of bars are really hurting, but this is more of like nightclubs and really loud places, not your basic neighborhood bar. So HFD will be there with the fire marshal. HPD, of course, will be there talking about how they process complaints associated with bars. The TABC will be there talking about they're really auditing, like, the kind of stuff I was talking about, receipts, are they a bar? Are they a restaurant? Are they supposed to be open? Are they not? And then enforcement of kind of public safety kind of things like serving to minors and disorderly conduct. And they kind of, they play somewhat into noise. They really leave that up to the city, but TABC will be there to explain their role. ARA, the Administration and Regulatory Affairs Department of the city, will talk about noise and sound level regulations and enforcement, as well as parking rules. And then the Houston Legal Department will be talking about kind of bar-related municipal prosecutions, primarily noise, how they prosecute noise, which, I've heard, I really think we have to pretty heavily strengthen our noise ordinance. We last looked at the noise ordinance in 2011, not so much in your area, but in the inner city, that has become a lot more dense and so there, we all have to learn how to live peacefully with each other. So if you're interested in that subject, tune in on a week, in Monday, November 2nd.
Sally, this is Doug, and based on the response that I had from posting it on Alief Life, I'm sure you will hear from Natasha, who's on this call, and Noreen, who was on this call, because they both responded to my posting saying, hey,
Great.
We've got progress.
Great. And I'm sure it's not just restricted to the inner city. I mean, I was out at Fountain View area recently. They've got a lot of problems. I mean, it was becoming kind of something that was on my radar at all these different meetings. And so I decided, this is something we could really tackle. The idea of this committee meeting is just to kind of lay out what's happening, what the city does and TABC does, what our current stats are, how many complaints, how many get prosecuted, what our processes are to address complaints, kind of what the gaps are. I mean, we don't have enough sound meters, we don't have enough police, we don't have it's a resource issue. And enforcement's really, really light. And a lot of these bigger nightclubs, they kind of have a different business model than your neighborhood bar. I mean, they're kind of in and out, make as much cash as they possibly can. They see a lot of these fines and things that they get as kind of the cost of doing business. They're not really neighborhood, friendly or whatever. So we'll be looking at that. And after this meeting, we'll be looking at the gaps and really what the city can do to address. I am a true believer that everybody should be able to enjoy their home, right? Be able to go to bed in a decent hour and not be awoken at all hours of the night. And just basically not have, I've literally had people say every weekend we have to choose whether we're going to stay in town and face the music, literally and figuratively, or get out of town. I mean, that shouldn't be the way people live. So, I mean, we have rules in place, they're just not being enforced. COVID, we're at city and county wide, we're at 160,000 cases, about 83,000 in the city. Everybody's of course hearing about kind of an uptick in hospitalizations. We're not so concerned here, but you're certainly hearing about that in around the country. You've heard about the mayor's COVID crime initiative. We've had quite an increase in violent crime he is, spending the $4.1 million in CARES Act funding for an overtime program for HPD. West Side and Alief falls under this division. Is covered. Also, South Gessner is one of the areas near Alief that'll be covered. So, HPD officers will be on proactive patrols to reduce crime and address the spike in homicides. I think we're up 41% in homicides, which is frightening. And violent crime overall is up 11% in Houston. So I don't know what's happening. People are distressed. I mean, this is a really trying time for so many families, and it's reflected in how people are behaving, I guess, too. What else do y'all want to hear about? The street rehab program? Do you know about that? I'm sure Tiffany's gotten you well versed on that. Oh, she told me to tell y'all hi. She was going, she had something planned tonight, but she said to make sure and tell everybody hi. I think you've got great representation there. And I don't know if you want to hear about street rehab or different projects going on or any other budget questions, whatever you have, I'm here.
Noreen, question. Noreen, go ahead. Sally.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that we do have quite an issue out here, and I don't know if the meeting alone is enough to address it. We have been bringing this up, and I myself have been monitoring certain locations, I will call them, that run all our night openings and are running, I am sure, I would imagine, gambling.
Yeah.
And I don't know what other sort of activities. I have seen questionable, what I would say, human trafficking coming out of there at like 5 o'clock in the morning and things that are highly suspicious.
Yeah, those after hour clubs are I mean, it's not really specifically what we're addressing. I mean, that is a whole other slew of problem, but I think it falls under bar nuisances. It's more than a nuisance, though. There's some straight up crime going on there.
It's crime.
Yeah, it's more than noise and people getting in fights and all of this. But I would encourage you. I mean, it's not like that's not on my radar. I mean, I do want to discuss that, and I would encourage you if you can. I realize it's 10 o'clock on a Monday morning when people have lives and jobs and everything else. But if you can come to the meeting, if you can sign up to speak, I'd like to hear. You'll get a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes to lay out what's happening, and everybody will be there. We'll have all those players, TABC, HPD, so they'll hear your complaint. And I think it's going to be a good forum to talk about specifics and get it out in the public eye. I feel like there's going to be a lot of public participation in this meeting, hopefully some press. So I encourage you to talk about the specifics and after hours clubs. While that's not really, the main focus of the meeting, it certainly is something that falls within the realm of things that are disrupting the quality of life due to, somebody yesterday didn't want to say bars or nightclubs. They said in areas with robust nighttime economy. So, it definitely falls in that realm. So I encourage you, if you can, and if you want, or if you can't, you can send me something I can read, whatever works. But I would like some attention, some light shown on that.
And even though it's on a Monday morning and Sunday is a weekend, they still have until 5 p.m. Sunday to sign up to speak,
right.
Correct?
Right. And you know what? If somebody misses that, I mean, I know there's things having to do with the technology and getting you the right number, but I am certainly in favor of more public engagement, not less. So we'll figure out a way if somebody's late to get who wants to speak, we can figure out a way to make that happen.
Sally, this is Joe Walton from Huntington Village. When we're talking about noise, what we get the most complaints in our area is people who play music, not all day long, or where it's so loud at night that the windows in your house, and if you have double pane windows, shake.
Right.
Right. That's one of our biggest complaints.
Yeah,
I've actually gone and talked to people, and
Yeah. Oh, no, no, no. I hear that all the time. And I think it's a flaw in our noise ordinance that we address a number on high frequency sound. It's the 68 decibels or the 75 if you have a permit. But we don't really specify things on that low frequency bass sound. You know, the stuff that rocks. I literally had a guy that lived next to the White Oak Music Hall last night, like hold his phone up outside, you know, right outside his front door, and you could hear, I mean, the bass was like, you know, if you lived in that house, there's no way you'd be able to go to sleep or anything else. So that's something I do want to tackle in the ordinance. And I'm not any kind of sound expert or anything. I mean, but I think the low frequency sound, we need to be a lot more deliberative on what we want, on being able to capture that and be able to cite establishment.
Especially when it's 2 blocks away from your house in a
Right,
subdivision.
right. Another flaw in the noise ordinance, I think, and I see Officer Whitaker here. I mean, you take the readings from the complainants, right? I mean, that's the ordinance. You know, I mean, if the ordinance is you can only play 68 or 75 decibels, I mean, why not take it right there where the music's coming, at the property line from the establishment? I think that makes a lot more sense. But and the way sound travels is, I mean, there's a science to it. It travels up, you know, we're taking the readings down, you know, there's a lot that can be done. So I think at the very least, after this meeting, we're going to go hard after the to changes to the noise ordinance.
Thank you.
Hi, Sally. This is Natasha. I've got a couple of questions. So obviously, I live in a neighborhood where we've got a strip center. I've got 2 bars that are operating without permits. They've got young people in them, so under the age of 18. There's alcohol being served at it, and they are full of capacity, and they're coming all out into the parking lot. And so,
and I'm sure you've reported it to TABC like 50 times, right? I mean, you know, I mean, I feel sorry for the TABC guy, but like, obviously they're way under-resourced, but yeah. I've had so many frustrated people, just like what you're saying all this stuff, capacity issues. You know, one lady was like, they say they're serving food, but they don't even have a vending machine. You know, like there's no food anywhere to be seen. And so, you know, I think, you know, you'll hear from TABC, and I warned them, I go, you're going to have some angry people talk about TABC, because, you know, we're limited in what we can do, you know, as far as, you know, monitoring, you know, who can be operating and what. But they are really, they say their priority is life safety things. And they said, you know, serving minors is one of their big things. So I would again encourage you to come to the meeting, straight up address that, you know, give a location, address that with the TABC representative.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. Thanks so much, Sally.
Sure. What else you got, you guys? Big shout out to Doug Smith, my budget hero. You, Alief, he's watching your taxpayer dollars, Alief.
Good, good.
Nobody's watching him more closely than Doug Smith.
Sally, I know you've got another meeting at 7.
Yeah, but I've got time. I've got time till then. As long as you want me, you might want to get rid of me. I don't know.
Here's something Lynn says. Measuring decibels is straightforward and the equipment needed is relatively
inexpensive. Yeah. And you know what? I think one of the things I want to pursue in looking at this noise ordinance is, if you are getting a permit for an annual permit, like you're going to, which a lot of these clubs don't do. I mean, it's just for outside music. What happens is they play the music inside and then they have speakers outside. You know, there's a million ways to get around it. We have to kind of narrow the ways to get around it. But I think that people that are requesting a sound permit, an annual permit, we should require them to have a sound monitor at the edge of their property. That, you know, the technology's out there. You can go online. HPD should be able to go online and see what the sound decibel is without having to send an officer out there. They turn it down, you know, the officer leaves, they turn it back up. You know, there's technology that can help us with this. So I think the ordinance needs to be, they are kind of researched. They are getting less expensive. And I think we should require that of people. And I also think we should do something about stacking complaints. I mean, valid complaints. We don't want one bar calling complaints on another bar, but valid complaints that end up getting prosecuted. If you have a bunch, I mean, we got to hit them in the pocketbook, right? I mean, you've got to charge a lot for a permit. You've got to make them get a monitor. You've got to not renew their sound permit. You've got to revoke their valet parking permit. I mean, whatever you can do to you know, get them where it hurts. Because a lot of these places are making money hand over fist. I'm not worried about disrupting their ability to do business. And I want to be real careful that I'm not talking about bars with one paintbrush. And I think the city should do a little bit better job at defining what a bar is, what a nightclub is, what an after hours club is, and we should regulate them differently. Because there's a lot of great bars out there that are playing by the rules, and they shouldn't be penalized. And it's a terrible time for bars, obviously. So, you know, I certainly don't want to come off as anti-bar. I want to come off as anti, you don't care about the rules or people, you know, bars. Anything else?
Anybody else? Sally, thanks so much for
Sure. Great to be here. I love being in Alief, even if it's on a flat screen, and even if Barbara looks like she's at the beach.
I'm
That's the Alief I know and love, right there. Sand and the surf. And somebody's in Lawrence. You're in San Francisco. Say hi to my daughter. She lives out there. All right. Y'all take care. Have a great night. I'll be back.
Thanks, Sally.
Thank you.
Next Monday, everybody who can come. Take care.
Sarah, you're up next. Are you there?
Great. Yes, I'm here.
Sarah Robinson's with the Public Works, and she's going to talk about our nasty, dirty, our pipes.
Our wastewater system. It's a very appealing topic, I know. I apologize for the lighting. It doesn't usually look this dark back here, but we'll just go with it. It's not letting me share my screen. It's saying host disabled participant sharing.
Okay, Long, tell me what I'm supposed to do.
I think there's a setting, but you know, as a backup plan, I can share my screen.
Okay, I made you host, Long.
Yeah.
All right, well, I will go ahead and get started, and I will tell you Long. I'm probably going to flip through these pretty quickly. But first, I want to say thank you, Barbara, for allowing me the time to speak to everybody today, and thank you all for your time. My name is Sarah Robinson, and as Barbara mentioned, I work with Houston Public Works. And today I'm here to talk to you about a new outreach and education campaign that we are launching to help protect Houston's wastewater system, specifically to help reduce sewer overflows within the city of Houston. This will help to keep our neighborhoods, our communities, our families, and our environment healthy and safe. You can click the next slide. So first, I'm going to tell a story. So this here is Sammy. He lives in Houston, and he loves playing with Legos, and he enjoys eating his Grandma Ruby's cooking. If you just want to click next on the slide, so there's Grandma Ruby. But one day, Sammy was walking home from school when he crossed a large puddle of dirty water flowing from a nearby sewer manhole. It took up the entire sidewalk, but Sammy likes playing in puddles, so he walked through it anyways. The next day, though, Sammy was sick with an upset stomach. It turned out that Sammy had walked through a sewer overflow, a backup of untreated wastewater into our streets and homes. He had brought this waste in his home, making both himself and his family sick. If you want to click the next slide. While Sammy may be a fictional character, his story happens all the time to our children, families, and households, more often than we would like. And this is actually a photo taken within the city of Houston, and this exact scenario that I just explained happened here. This school bus actually dropped off at this apartment complex right in front of this sewer overflow. You can actually see toilet paper and feces in the street, and Houston Public Works is out responding to and stopping sewer overflows like this every single day. In addition to making us sick and just not being pretty to look at, these sewer overflows can also harm our environment by polluting our waterways, and it can cost us as Houston residents thousands of dollars in fines and repairs. It also, of course, costs Houston Public Works thousands of dollars to respond to and clean up these events as well. Next slide. So what causes sewer overflows? By far, the most sewer overflows are caused when something is causing a blockage in the pipe, in the wastewater pipe. This prevents wastewater from flowing through, and almost all of these blockages are caused by, if you go to the next slide, just some drum roll, slide, fats, oils, and grease. So when people are rinsing or pouring these items down their drains in their kitchen, they eventually solidify and stick to our pipes. Once big enough, these blockages will cause a sewer overflow. And we actually see overflows caused by fats, oils, and grease almost doubled during the holiday season, which we're coming up on, which is when people are at home cooking the most with their friends or with their families and friends. And that's part of why we're launching this campaign now, is to have it out in the community for Thanksgiving and the ongoing holiday season after that. Next slide. So why am I here today? I am here to recruit all of you to help with this campaign. Ultimately, this problem can be vastly reduced if our residents just engage in a few simple behaviors. Next slide. The most important behavior we ask of our residents is to put grease in its place, the trash, and never down the drain. We break this down into 3 simple tasks. Pour the grease into a container, let the container cool, and then toss it in the trash. Next slide. Next slide, please, thanks. Additionally, we're starting to see an increase in wipes, rags, tissues, and other items being flushed down our toilets, further contributing to the problem and making it worse. As such, as a part of this campaign, we're also asking our residents to only flush the 3 Ps, which are pee, poop, and toilet paper. Everything else should go in the trash. So I'm here today to talk to you about ways you as Super Neighborhood members and active participants in your community can help take steps to prevent sewer overflows, especially during the holiday season. So this year, as a part of the launch of the new Protect Our Pipes campaign, we have a lot of wonderful resources on our website. It's protectourpipes.org. They include downloads to PDFs of flyers, posters, infographics. There's videos on YouTube that you can go to, and we will be continuing to add to these resources as well. So feel free to go to that website, download any of that information, use it to share with your communities, with your organizations, with your neighbors. But in addition to that, we are also happy to present this information at any upcoming virtual meetings that you might have. And we can also provide articles for newsletters and posts for similar publications as well. Finally, one fun initiative that you can do, kind of more on an overall community engagement level, is host a cooking oil recycling drive during the holiday season. We kind of have a guide to help you with this, but you would essentially invite your community to drop off used cooking oil at a centralized location and then have somebody drop all of that cooking oil off at one of Houston's environmental service centers. So if you are interested in taking advantage of any of these opportunities or resources, you can email us at our email on here, protectourpipes@houstontx.gov. And we will be happy to present to anybody or help assist you with any kind of outreach that you might be looking to do to your communities. And that is all I have for you guys today. I just want to say thank you again for your time. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have now, or again, please feel free to email us at protectourpipes@houstontx.gov. Long, if you click next, I think I have my phone number listed on the next slide as well.
Sarah, it's Barbara Quattro. Can you send this presentation to me, and so I could send it out to Alief Life?
Absolutely, I will be happy to do that.
Okay. And
Barbara, this is Doug. I was suggesting the same thing, but are you recording tonight's session?
yes,
I am.
Pardon?
yeah. Cynthia and I are.
Okay, because even better, because I mean, Sarah could send us a presentation, but her words are certainly, explain it a lot better. If we could just post a link to the recording, that would probably gain a lot more attention, is what I'm thinking.
So one thing I can do is we actually have this presentation kind of pre-recorded. So I can send that along as a video file, and that way it would just be this 5-minute presentation as opposed to buried into the entire meeting, if that's easier for you.
Well, I'm afraid a video file we're not going to be able to share on Alief Life. Could you send us a link to the video file, and then people can, that'd be a better way to do it.
Yes, I can do that as well.
Okay, that would be the best thing to do.
Perfect.
And maybe sorry, the dogs are going nuts. Maybe we should think about in Alief having, as she mentioned, a cooking oil depot someplace so that we could get rid of all those all that cooking oil. Like Lynn on the chat, people are cooking turkeys, and that's a lot of leftover oil.
Exactly. And that's, of course, we'd rather it be in the trash than down the drain, but recycling it is an even better option. It'll get recycled into biofuel and cosmetics and other products as well. We've actually implemented a similar cooking oil recycling drive with apartment complexes, and it's a really effective way at engaging residents in this behavior, because they actually kind of have that more visible, I have to take this step and my friends and neighbors can see that I'm dropping it off at this station too. It just kind of makes that camaraderie a little bit more in depth too.
Sarah, I have a question, please. I'm doing the minutes. I know you said you were looking for recruits. Do you want them to respond at the protectourpipes.org or protectourpipes@houstontex.gov?
So you can go to our website. It's protectourpipes.org. If you're looking to email us, then you can email us at protectourpipes@houstontx.gov.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else have any questions for Sarah? Sarah, thank you. We spend millions on this, and so we need to step up and try to help.
Well, I really appreciate your enthusiasm, and I look forward to working with you guys all hopefully on this. We really are trying to get more involved and more engaged with Houston's communities, and Alief is one area where we're really hoping to gain some traction. So I hope to work with all of you, and I will follow up, Barbara, with both my presentation as well as a recording.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys.
Sarah. Okay, Tim, you up?
Yes, I am. Sarah, I've always heard that you never follow kids and pets, and I'm having to follow pee and poop. So this is a little unique for me.
It's a pretty low bar. We have a challenge sometimes trying to make it exciting. And we do a lot of work with kids, and it's how do you make that exciting for them? So.
All right, thank you. Hey, for my part, well done in the last 30 days for Super Neighborhood 25. Your violent crimes were down 21%. That's incredibly significant. Sexual assaults and aggravated assaults were down more than 25%. Burglary of motor vehicles over the last 30 days is down 20%. Burglaries of habitation is down 20%. Burglaries of buildings is down 20%. Theft from motor vehicles is down 47%. So part one crimes over the last 30 days is down 21%. Nonviolent crimes are down 17%. So I don't know what happened down there for in the last 30 days, but well done. And then over the last year, we now have year stats that I'm able to look at. Part one crimes of the four of the murder, sexual assault, robbery, and aggravated assault, only one is up. The others are down. The aggravated assaults are up. We think that could be caused from domestic violence. Remember, domestic violence is included in the aggravated assault. So some of that could be domestic violence. But for the year, burglary of motor vehicles and theft from motor vehicles are up significantly. Again, that's over last year. As we go into the holidays, remember that we need to secure things, make sure our cars are locked, pay attention when we're leaving the malls and all that kind of stuff. Don't leave packages, purses, bags, any of that in your car while you go off shopping. Folks will even break into a car for your nasty clothes from the gym. So don't leave anything exposed there. Couple of things too that we've our arrests. There's some really cool stories this month on some of these arrests. Over on Dairybrook, narcotics was out there on a search warrant on Dairybrook. Ended up arresting 2 people over there. Not only got possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver, but they also recovered 2 firearms. For a police officer, it's always good to see that they're getting those guns off the street. 9400 block of West Sam Houston. They were just running some license plates. The registration was expired, stopped the car. Everybody in the car had felony warrants. So that was a good thing, got those people off the street. 6200 block of Willcrest, a stolen vehicle, and in the stolen vehicle was a whole bunch of drugs. So we recovered not only the stolen vehicle, but got a whole bunch of drugs out of that. Let's see, a stolen vehicle at 10700 Westheimer. It was a U-Haul truck. If you don't know this, a lot of people, some of these bad folks will steal U-Hauls, then they go out and commit other crimes. So recovering those U-Hauls is always a good thing. The driver of that U-Haul was intoxicated, so he went off to jail. Traffic stop, foot chase over off of Rogerdale. The occupant of the vehicle, while they were running, threw a gun. So we caught both suspects, put both suspects in jail, got some marijuana, also recovered a gun. Again, always a good thing. 11200 block of Stroud. Night shift saw a stolen vehicle, interviewed the suspect that was in the vehicle, got some crystal meth, some Xanax, marijuana, and recovered the vehicle. They made a traffic stop over at 12700 Bel Air. That one was pretty big when it comes to guns. Everyone in that car, there were 5 people in that car. All 5 people had guns. So they just recovered 5 guns from that and 9 grams of marijuana. Kind of scary to think 5 people in a car and all 5 of them had guns. And then a robbery investigation over at 13500 Beech Nut. Got 3 felony arrests out of that one. 2 stolen guns and recovered some money. For the last 30 days, 65 people were arrested down there. I think that's pretty outstanding. So HPD's, again, I'm very proud to be an officer. I'm also drinking the HPD Kool-Aid, but a great, great month for Super Neighborhood 25, not only by the stats are way down, but also HPD officers going out there and putting a ton of folks in jail. That was the quick version. Anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you and your officers for all you do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
When you say the last month, what are the dates of your?
I don't know the dates on that. Well, yes, I do. It's the month of August and the month of September.
Okay, because yesterday was not a good day for this area. As I'm sure you're aware, we sort of headlined all of the news broadcasts with the murder on Sharpcrest, and there were 6 murders, I think, in the immediate area. I don't know that they're all west side, but it looks bad.
Yeah, there was one murder in the immediate area. All the others were in other parts of town. As far as the city of Houston goes, you're absolutely right. It was a bad day yesterday. The one on Sharpview, here's what I will tell you. Talk to your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, all the young people that think social media is absolutely fact. Social media is not fact. That is not reality. Facebook, Instagram, all those other things that the kids get on. That's what the one was yesterday on Sharpview. It was a ongoing family dispute over some social media posts, and some people decided they were going to get together and have a fight. And unfortunately for one young lady, and I believe a family member of hers, it was a bad day for them. Yes, you're absolutely right, Doug. Yesterday was a very bad day. Anybody else?
Hey, Tim, Commander, can I address the shooting real quick?
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. To your point, absolutely. We had a bad 48 hours, and you're right. The murder of the 16-year-old on Sharpcrest was the leading headline. I was out there for 4.5 hours. It was a very emotional scene. It was completely senseless. I'm angry by the fact that this murder took place in Westside's area. To what Tim Whitaker was saying, just the fact that a social media feud led to the death of this young woman. She wakes up yesterday morning, and then her parents have to bury her by the end of the day. It was absolutely disgusting. What happened was the 16-year-old, her 20-year-old sister, and the 22-year-old boyfriend, they just walked 2 blocks. They just lived 2 blocks from that location where the murder occurred to confront her cousin over some social media nonsense. And so the cousin was with another female and another male. Well, the male gets out of the car. Something happened. I'm not sure exactly what led up to the murder, but the male gets out of the car and kills the 16-year-old, shoots the 20-year-old sister, and shoots the 22-year-old boyfriend. Thankfully, the 20-year-old sister and the 22-year-old boyfriend are going to make it. They're stable in the hospital right now. So this isn't one of those whodunits. I imagine we're going to file charges relatively quick, since this is, like Tim Whitaker was saying, this is a known family member who was at least involved. She wasn't the trigger person. I don't know what the relationship of the trigger person is to the cousin. So you're absolutely right. That's one that will weigh on me for a little bit. As a matter of fact, Jessica Willey from ABC 13 came to the station today. Gave an interview to her, which will be on the 10 o'clock news tonight, just talking about the uptick in crime, talking about with the mayor, with the $4 million in CARES money that to 6 patrol divisions that's been delved out. Westside is receiving Westside is receiving exactly $360,000 of that money. Half of that is going to be used for additional patrols, enhanced patrols, visibility, proactive police work, and the other half is going to be on the tactical side, the gang side, kind of doing the more undercover stuff, trying to get these violent crimes under control. One of the things we're trying to do on our gang side is we're working with our federal partners, with the FBI and the ATF, to get our more prolific offenders on these gun charges, specifically our gang members, get them charged federally, because the federal charges carry a lot more weight, have a lot more teeth. The federal sentencing guidelines are much more strict than if you were sentenced at the state level. You can get anywhere at the state level. You might do one day for every 4 days that you're sentenced. At the federal level, you're doing 7 to 8 days for every day. So you're doing 70% of your time versus 25% of the time. Officer Whitaker talked about guns. I'm happy to report to you that our tactical unit, our gang units at Westside have been extremely proactive this year. So far this year, our tactical units and gang units have removed over 80 guns off of the street, and that's through we're not even through October yet. Last year, in 2019, for the whole year, they only removed 33 guns. It was still an okay year, but we're already at 80 guns off the street. So we're seeing an uptick in the violence and the level of violence, and we're seeing an uptick in the number of incidents reported. Councilmember Alcorn was talking about violent crime across the city. So citywide, it is up about 11%. Violent crime in West Side for all of our area is up about 14%. So we're slightly a little bit higher. If I could put maybe just a silver lining on that, our murder rate, citywide, our murder rate, we're up 42% year to date. At West Side, we're below the citywide average. We're up 25%. You know, not a whole lot to hang the hat on, but you know, we're not driving a crime, the murders around the city, so we are a little bit below the citywide average. So I'm happy to report that. I think we discussed this last time I was on, is that aggravated assaults, that's been our Achilles heel all year, not just at West Side, but at citywide as well. That is driving the crime, or the aggravated assaults. A lot of this gun violence. Approximately, yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Is the person that committed the murder yesterday in custody, or do you have to find them?
So I sent an email requesting an update. I haven't received an email back, so I can't say yet. I don't know. So okay. I don't want to give you false information, but I will certainly find out, and I can report back to you and let you know if he is in custody or not, and what he's charged with.
That's fine. It sounds like you have a pretty good idea of who it is, and that's why I was curious.
Yeah, the investigators. Yeah, again, this is not a whodunit. We just a little bit of investigative legwork to talk to the cousin, the other female that was in the car. You know, they have leverage on those females because it's one of those. Hey, if you don't want to cooperate, you're going to get charged with the murder. Versus, hey, giving up the 20 or the male that was in the that was with you, the trigger man, and let us know who it was. So I expect that charges will be filed relatively quick. And again, when I find out, I will certainly report back to you and let you know. It's just it was just I have a daughter very close to that age. It just sickens my stomach that that happened to a 16-year-old. But I don't want to victim blame or victim shame. But you know, why does somebody react to a social media post where you're challenged to come meet at a location? It's just like Officer Whitaker said, let's talk to our kids and just we need to get it under control. They just react so quickly without thinking about the consequences, and it's such a sad day for the community. So I hope the community does not become apathetic that, you know, hey, she deserved this, or what the hell was she doing out over there? I hope we don't ever become that apathetic for a 16-year-old murdered in our community. So if we do, I think we have to kind of look at ourselves and figure out where we are as a community. But anyway.
Ms. Alcorn, can I have a question, please, Captain? I know Ms. Alcorn indicated that the mayor had done a $4.1 million overtime for HPD. And is this all contributed, do you think, to the COVID and people not having, as far as the younger people not having anything to do, or no structure, or no money for people to eat? Well, what do you think this is about?
I don't think there's one magic bullet. It's one issue. I think COVID has absolutely played a role in the increase in crime. You have people who have lost their jobs. You have people who are just, they become desperate. And when you become desperate, you don't think clearly, and you make wrong decisions. So there's, without a doubt, COVID has played an effect. I believe I reported the last time, or the citywide PIP meeting, when we looked at our domestic violence rates earlier in the year, when we had the stay-at-home order, March and April, we were up over 100% and 200% respectively during those 2 months just for domestic violence. So we know for a fact that COVID played a role in the number of aggravated assaults on the domestic violence side that was reported to us. We know that without a doubt. This is unprecedented. The level of violence, we went from I think 240 and change murders last year, and we're already at 319 for this year. In Jesus, we may crest 400. That scares the daylights out of me. How do we? It's not a gradual increase. It's a significant increase. We've talked about the bond reform. There's no doubt that that's played a role in the level of increases. We have case after case after case where individuals who are on bond commit another violent crime, another violent felony, or even murder, and we can report the information, but it's up to the community. I mean, what we do with this information. So we're frustrated with the fact, but I mean, we still have to, move forward. We still have to do our job. And like I told Jessica Willie on ABC 13 today, I think we need to look at ourselves too, to make sure that as a police department, we need to look at ourselves to make sure that we're doing everything we can to give them a solid case that they can rest their hat on, that, that it's shored up, that the person who we are accusing of this crime, actually did it, versus, hey, if this is just kind of it's a loose circumstantial case. So it's incumbent upon us to do whatever we can, not just on murders, but domestic violence, all of these issues. And most importantly, the chiefs talk about this all the time, the partnership with the community. I mean, we cannot do this without your help. We say that all the time. It used to be, I think, and Officer Whitaker has been on longer than I have, but I don't recall, especially in the last 10 or 15 years, the level of engagement with the community, just saying, hey, look, we do need your help, versus kind of the old day. And Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just really, hey, we've got this. We were Joe Friday, just the facts, ma'am. So we have a lot going on. We're understaffed, but we are grateful that the mayor and the chief has allocated this money to Westside. We're one of 6 patrol divisions receiving this CARES money. We're going to put it to good use. We're going to monitor productivity to make sure we're using it appropriately, to make sure our officers are productive. And more importantly, we're deploying resources where the crime is occurring. So we will look at the trends and we will make adjustments, and there will be adjustments moving forward. So I'm happy to report to you that we are making some good arrests out there. Our officers are just doing yeoman's work out there. So we know the community appreciates us. One of the things I told, again, Jessica Willie, was that, hey, here'd be a nice little positive news story, is how about the community support for the police? And she kind of chuckled. I said, that'd be a good news story. Probably get you some views on that. And she kind of chuckled, but I don't think that's going to happen. So we have to write our own story. So anyway, I want to thank you as a community for supporting us. I cannot tell you how many phone calls, emails, cards I receive at Westside just supporting us. And we know you support us, but unfortunately it's the minority that gets all of the attention. So just when you see an officer out there, just thank him or her and just let them know they're appreciated. It matters, and we do appreciate it. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Yes. Captain Angelo, this is Maureen. I had a question. There was a form that was being used for domestic violence. I think it was developed by your predecessor. Is that still being implemented, or is it being rolled out to the rest of the HPD? It seemed to give a risk factor for every incident and was a method of evaluation in a specific home incidents for domestic violence to the officer and to the individual.
Great question, Noreen. I'm glad and it's a very timely question, as a matter of fact. So first, to answer your question, yes, we are still using that form. Actually, that was a pilot program that Commander Fallhaber instituted here at Westside in conjunction with our Victim Services Unit. It was the Maryland Lethality Assessment Form. And there were 11 questions on the lethality assessment form. And based upon a domestic violence victim's responses, it puts you in a certain category. So level 3 was the highest category, where you were at the biggest risk of further injury or possible death. So what has happened is about 70% of these forms qualified for the highest referral rate. So the department has not implemented this form to the other patrol divisions. As a matter of fact, last week I gave a presentation to the command staff talking about the increase in domestic violence. I said, one of the things we're doing is using this assessment form out here, the one that Commander Fallhaber instituted in 2018. And Chief Finner, one of 2 of our executive assistant chiefs, loved the idea, and he wanted to implement it department-wide. He said, Angelo, send an email out to your guys, let them know how you're doing it. So I did that. But here's the problem. So we're one of 13 patrol stations. So if everybody starts doing these Maryland assessment forms, so all of a sudden we're going to inundate not only our Victim Services Unit, but our investigative unit, our Major Assaults and Family Violence, and they cannot handle the uptick in the number of referrals. So we're actually looking to implement a new form. We're working with Jeannie Geiger. That's a nonprofit group, and they're actually developing a new form for us. And a lot of the questions are going to be same, but how they're scored and how the referral, because we need to get that 70% referral rate down below 50%, because we cannot handle 70%, but we can handle below 50%. So we're actually, that is actively being pursued right now. And I imagine that hopefully by the new year, the department's going to have a brand new department-wide response to domestic violence for the lethality assessment form. So it's something I'm looking forward to as a former commander over our domestic violence unit. So I'm excited about that. Not only does it give victims kind of the referral services they need, or refer them to investigations, but it also allows us to actually kind of see what the trends are. So when you title a domestic violence incident as just an aggravated assault, well, that's fine. You know, we can pull the reports, but what these forms are actually doing, every month I'm having my admin sergeant, they take all of the forms that are turned in, and we can actually see the trends within the domestic violence. Are they more serious? Are they more serious, or are they less serious? So month over month, I get to see kind of different trends. So I'll say over the past 2 months, they have not been as violent. Our domestic violence incidents haven't been as violent, if you will, than they were in the previous months. So that's a good thing. But we are looking to implement a new system. It's through the Jeannie Geiger. It's called the DALE, the Domestic Abuse for Law Enforcement form. So that's hopefully what we're going to be moving toward as a department. But we need final approval from our executive command staff. So great question, Noreen. I hope I took a long time to answer that question, but that's where we're at. But yes, Westside is still using the Maryland lethality assessment form as we speak.
Well, I would suggest that there be evaluation as to whether your 70% is due to the uptick in your domestic violence numbers around COVID, or whether it's a thing according to the way the questions are being asked. That's always a tricky thing to determine. And also, I know that Assistant Chief Bainbridge was involved in that and knew a whole lot about it.
Yeah, she is, and she's very engaged. Yes, Chief Bainbridge, my boss. Yeah, she is extremely engaged. She knows all about this. She's actively involved in the new Jeannie Geiger lethality assessment that's coming out as well. So she's working with Lieutenant Julie Pleasant, who is actually the lieutenant over our victim services unit, along with Assistant Chief Heather Morris, who's over criminal investigations, to implement this new program.
Oh, that's good news. My other suggestion and last comment would be that for your next PIP meeting, or one after, or in the near future before the end of the year, that we talk about what the community does to contribute to this. You know, the community has eyes and ears, and we know our neighbors and we know what's going on much better than the police do. You travel around, and there has to be a way for the information to filter back without it being people, you know, gossiping or telling things. There's legitimate stuff that we see happening day in and day out, and it needs to be looked at. And when it goes on for years, it's a concern, and it's a detriment to the community. So there needs to be a way to evaluate these incidents and these people in these situations within the command stations. And it's not just Westside I'm talking about.
Well said. I have nothing else to add to that. I think you're spot on, Noreen.
Thank you.
Can I just make a comment to extend my sympathy, and I think probably everybody else on this call, or just about everybody else, feels the same way about the death of Sergeant Preston. When I see his picture on TV, he looks like a very kind man. And the fact that he was, I think, 2 weeks from retirement and he still put himself in that position says a lot for him. And it's really sad to see something like that happen to such a great person.
Doug, thank you for your comments. I agree. Sergeant Preston he actually trained me when I promoted to sergeant in 2006. I was actually trained at the Southwest Station, rode with Harold for 2 weeks on day shift, and just what a kind, gentle soul he was. Just a good man, one of the good guys. And you know, you don't say that about everybody, but you can just tell by his demeanor, just you see some of the videos that have come out with him. He's just a gentle soul, and just a great man. Just treated people with dignity and respect, and he will be sorely missed. It's sickening what occurred to him. And but thank you for your comments. That means a lot. Thank you. Anybody else?
Lawrence, you're mute.
Yes, I have a question, and I don't know if this is for Sergeant Whitaker, or basically I live across the street from an apartment complex, and periodically I hear gunfire over there. And I mean, you know, not a single shot, several in a row. And I've always wondered, should I report it, or would it be a waste of your time? Because I don't see anything, you know, I just
Lawrence, here's what I tell you, and you are not unique in this. We get this a lot. And here's what I'll tell you, always report it. Now, okay. It's very complex how we prioritize calls and all that other stuff. If all you hear are gunshots and you don't see anything, it's going to be a very low priority, but an officer is going to go out there. Or if an officer, for whatever reason, doesn't go out there, at least you called and it's in the computer that someone called the police. You generated a call slip. And crime analysis, which I work with almost every day, that's how I get all these stats, they tabulate all of that information. And all of that information ends up going up to the commander, and the commander works with those numbers as well. So never feel like, oh, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll let somebody else call or whatever. Please do call.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. And let me just, this is Commander Angelo. Let me just underscore what Officer Whitaker said as well. One of the things we're trying to do is we run calls for service for different locations. So I have my top 10 locations for apartment locations. And what that does, we can see the types of crime that are being called on. And if it's a nuisance issue where there are discharging firearm calls, there's gang activity or whatever, we need that for our crime analysis purposes. So like Officer Whitaker was saying, we may not be able to solve that crime that night, and there's a good fact that we probably won't in many cases. But what it does do, it gives us crime analysis information to know where the gunshots are heard, or maybe you heard from your angle, or we had another party heard it from another address, and we can kind of triangulate, if you will, where the loud noise is coming from. But more importantly, what we can do with this information is identify problem apartment complexes where we can send DRT out there and do inspections. And then if it's, excuse me real quick.
Mr. Edwards, what he was talking about is we do send units out. We, the guys I work with, which is the DRT people, they were sent out recently to do an inspection there on Beach Nut. And that's a very extensive inspection. So yeah, the commander, crime analysis, all of us here at the station, we look at those calls for service. We look at those stats. And that there are times when the commander, manpower, that's how manpower is allocated, is through some of those numbers as well. And Mr. Edwards too, whenever you call the police, be sure you leave a phone number. And the reason I say that, like on a shots fired call, should we get out there and we do find something, we may need witnesses. So we may need to call you back and ask what you saw or what you heard. And many times witnesses don't know what they're witnessing. You know, to you may just see a white pickup truck leave an apartment complex, and that may mean nothing to you. But when the officers get out there and they find something and they start their investigation, what you saw may be huge.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Tim, I'm back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me just say this, Mr. Edwards, just think of the Houston Police Department. Really what we do, we're just a big collection of information. When you call the police, we do a lot of reporting. So every bit counts. So don't think that your call doesn't matter. We may not get to it right away, but it is an important phone call. It does give us valid information. And the more information you provide and the more detail you give us, not only will that help us for that particular call, it could become very important later on if, you know, investigators come out there and there's a murder. Okay, well, what did you hear? How many shots? So there is utility in that as well. So please do call. You are not wasting our time, I assure you.
All right, thanks.
Tim, it's Doug. I have a question. You threw out DRT, and I get confused about where I should call if I have a problem. If we have a no lawn parking ordinance in our neighborhood, and we also have people that park blocking the sidewalk, should that be reported first to 311, or do we call you?
Doug, here's what I'll tell you. If you have my email address, send me that information. If not, you can email Barbara and Barbara can forward that information to me. Usually when I get those emails, I'm not one of the guys out on the street all the time, as Long can tell you, because me and him talk a lot via email, but I'll just ask the guys up in the office. I'll just, you know, hey, I got this complaint yesterday, and 100% of the time, one of the guys I work with will say, hey, we'll handle that. We're going to run down to such and such, and we'll run by there.
Okay.
The hard part about the lawn parking, and I know little about it, but just from what the guys tell me in the office is, you know, they got to see it happen. They got to do this. There's so many things that we're all protected by the Constitution. So there's a lot of things that have to happen for us to take action on some of those things. But yes, email Barbara, email me. I think, Doug, you have my email address. So email me, and I can get the guys in the office to take care of that.
Okay, so phone calls not necessarily, just email you. I wasn't sure of the process, but we have.
Email's the best way. That way I'm sure I get the right information and I can forward the correct information.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. And just real quick too, on the last 48 hours, kind of like the commander said, and Doug's concern about what happened, is the uniqueness and the sadness of murder is most of the time it's a known suspect. Even the one yesterday over on Old Farm where that little boy was shot, his stepdad was a rapper. I seem to think there's something going on with rappers. This week there have been 4 murders of rappers. And unfortunately, that little boy there, the rapper was trying to protect his stepson. It cost the man his life, and the little boy is, from what I hear, he's fighting for his life as well. So,
Old Farm is not in your district?
Old Farm is in 18 district. It used to be. It used to be, yeah. But it's now in 18 district. But you were right. It's down the street. But right. On that one, it's going to be a known suspect, which is really sad. The one that happened down in y'all's area, it's going to be a known suspect. Very sad. And you hate seeing that. You hate hearing that. I did get the chance to talk to the commander today about that scene yesterday, and the fact it was a little girl is heartbreaking. Even for old cops, it's very, very heartbreaking. But thank y'all very much. I think I've talked way too much tonight.
Tim, you said the girl was 16. Are they dealing with reality, or do they think this is something like you see on TV? I mean, what would possess her sister that's 20 years old that I don't get it.
Barbara, that's a great point. And me and the commander talked about this today. It's disturbing in 2020 that so many people look at Facebook and it's like, well, I have 100 friends, but she has 200 friends. What's wrong with me? He's always going out on dates. I never go out on dates. What's wrong with me? But social media, good Lord, look at the adults that get their news from Facebook. It's not real. It's Facebook, you know.
It's on Facebook. It's true. Now, you know that, Tim.
Yeah. So we don't know, it's the young people these days are completely wrapped up in social media. It could be a huge positive platform. Yesterday, unfortunately, it was not a positive thing. And it all started from a post. From the notes I have, it started from a post, I guess, a couple of weeks ago. So just very, very sad situation.
That's pitiful.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Tiffany's not here tonight. Long, do you have anything that you want to tell us from District F?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Great presentations. Thank you, Barbara. I see it's 7:45, so I'm going to try to speed through this. I do have like 5 important things I feel that are important. First thing is the West Park CIP project. I mean, it's not called West Park, but it's happening along West Park. It's called the Chelford City Diversion Package #1 project. Construction is shifting to westward to Derry Ashford. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up that it's an intersection that you will want to get around and find another route if you have to go through there. Roads were supposed to be closed this past Friday, but the construction manager changed his mind at the last second. And so we're waiting on him to let us know when they're going to close lanes at Derry Ashford and West Park. And let me plug our newsletter really quick. I'm going to just try to share my screen. So we had this in our newsletter last week, and it's right here. Yeah. So you can see these are all the changes that are going to happen at Derry Ashford and West Park. And yeah, but yeah, it's upcoming probably sometime later this week or maybe next week, week after that. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. And the construction at this intersection, it's going to last approximately 4 months. So try to plan your route now.
I'm never going to go out again. Okay.
All righty. Next thing I want to go over is there is an extension of the free drive-through COVID-19 testing at Crump Stadium. I'm going to plug our newsletter again. The flyer is here. It's going to be November 2nd to 30th, Mondays through Fridays, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You just have to go to this website down here and register. It's www.hanumg.com/crump. I'm going to try to go to that website now just to show you guys. It's really simple. And yeah, you'll see this form. After you fill it out, you'll get a confirmation email. And you just want to have that on your phone because they'll probably ask for it, your email address in that email. And yeah, we're still encouraging everybody to get tested. And also, if you happen to take a trip outside the state, like I did last week, please remember to quarantine for 10 to 14 days, depending on your last exposure to people on the plane. Because I have to say, it's kind of not safe to fly. I kind of regret the trip, even though it was to see my mom who was in the hospital. But there wasn't any social distancing on the plane. Like seats weren't blocked off like I hoped. But yeah, people were just packed in there. And yeah, just please remember to quarantine if you can. And just ask family members to help out and run some errands for you.
It's Doug, and just on this point, you see on TV these huge long lines of people wanting to get tested. That is not the case at this location. I signed up because I was curious because I was not feeling very well a few weeks ago, and I signed up and I went over and there was nobody there except me. So if you are afraid because there's going to be huge lines, don't be.
Thank you so much, Doug. Yes, I was there on Friday. It was raining. I do want to give another note. I wanted to get tested on Friday, but it was raining that day, and so when I got there, there wasn't anybody there. So when there's moderate rain in the forecast, they usually close the site for that day.
I can say too, the testing site that's downtown across from the baseball stadium is not busy as well. I went through that and was through being tested within 10 minutes.
That's great. It's great that it goes by really fast. I just kind of hope that there will be more people there, but that's great to hear as well, Cynthia. And thank you for getting tested. We want people to continue to get tested, and that's the only way that we can identify these clusters when they pop up. So thank you again.
This is
Yes.
Joe.
Mhm.
You know the new billboards that they're putting up, not billboards, I guess the electronic signs that they're putting up. I know we have one on Bissonnette and that they're putting out here in Alief. When are those going to be operative? Because that would be a good thing to advertise on those signs.
Yes, those are called dynamic messaging signs. There's one I know at Bel Air and near Derry Ashford. And yeah, but those are for, and you're right, it would make sense to post stuff like this on there, but they're for traffic and weather updates for drivers. But I could get in touch with the guy at TransStar that's been reaching out to us to provide updates, and maybe they could work with the health department on that. But as of right now, it's only for weather and traffic, and they should be operational. Actually, they were supposed to be operational earlier this year in the summer, but I can definitely ask for an update. I'm going to write that down and get back to you on that.
Thanks, Long.
No problem.
I'll test. There is no line
Long?
in front. I've been
Yes.
tested there also.
Someone called my name. Yes.
Yeah, it's Noreen. I also have a request, and I'll write it to you, but I think over at the corner of our new multi-service center, Kirkwood and Bel Air, they put up all green, solid, I guess it's canvas material. It totally blocks the view of what's happening. I have seen, and I know in New York, when I was in New York, they put up plywood structures and they put in plastic windows that you could see through. They have those green canvas things with visible plastic sheeting that is see-through, that people can see what's going on. And I think it should be open for the community to not only see, but to build a sense of anticipation and a positive something going on out here.
Are you referring, sorry, Noreen, I missed the first part.
On the fencing around the property, they have it totally blocked off so you can't see in, even where the gates are.
Are you talking about the neighborhood center?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, the multi-sector service center.
That's funny. I have an update. You beat me to it. I have a construction report, the first construction report from.
Well, we need to see what they're doing. I don't want just a report. I want more.
Gotcha. let me write that down. No, you're absolutely right. Let me write that down. And can I give you a call
send you
tomorrow?
an email, but,
yeah. Okay. Great.
You know,
Great. Even better. Even better.
Yeah.
The old ladies have to supervise Long.
Right. And if I don't see them working, there's going to be accountability. I don't want to report.
I'll make sure Manhattan Construction hears that. Definitely. Yeah.
You know, I know
right.
they exist because I have seen them in other places. So I don't want to hear the story that, you know, they aren't possible.
I'm looking forward to that email. Let's talk more offline about this. Honestly, I look forward to it, and I want to hear more about this because I think I missed the first couple of times.
Okay. I would second Noreen's comment there, because I would love to see what's going on, and you can't see it.
Yeah, and if you would provide that capability, it may keep me out of jail, because I'm tempted to go on the site and it says no trespassing, but I can't see anything. I'm 6'5". I can't see anything over the fence.
Well, aside from this, I do
Larry,
also.
you should try being me at just over 5 feet and not quite a half. I may have to go in there and start a ruckus.
Well, there is some good news about this. There's going to be a groundbreaking ceremony. Well, there was supposed to be one. It was scheduled for November 10th. But the mayor's office, there seems to be a conflict in the calendar, so it's being rescheduled now. But just a heads up, you guys will be able to see it at the groundbreaking ceremony, and we're gonna let everyone know about this thing. It's gonna be huge.
Well, I think Barbara and Noreen need to be participants at that groundbreaking ceremony.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all you guys. I mean, we want as many of you guys to show up as possible. I mean, just to show the support and show the mayor that, you know, the $60 million, it's worth it. The people want it. It's going to a great group of people in this community. So we want everyone to show up. So yeah.
I want to be there.
Yay.
Hey, Long,
Right. It's almost. I'm sorry, guys. It's 7. But it's
Long, I think part of the issue with the groundbreaking is that because of COVID, it's going to be limited, which is another reason that we need to have the site open and visible to people in the community. And we need to let them know what's going on and feel like they're watching and participating. You know, and I want our young people especially to see it because I want them back there. This is too long a time period to have them away.
You're right. You're right. And I think part of it may be safety concerns, but I'll check with them. I'm going to read your email and then I'm going to get that over to Manhattan Construction. Her name is Shale. I believe Shale. She's our liaison over there. And also to GSD, just to
Do
see
you have any more announcements?
feasible. So this is going to be in our newsletter tomorrow. So we get this every month. This is for September. This is from Manhattan Construction, EYP. They're the designers of this building. And yeah, so this is the first report. It's kind of skimpish, but you know, you can see progress on it. There's definitely real progress on this. And yeah, you'll see this entire thing. It'll be accessible and downloadable tomorrow in our newsletter.
Good.
Just a heads up. So yeah, and again, this is every month. So just a heads up. And then the last thing I want to bring up is our youth conference. We realize it's on a Saturday. It's a 5-hour conference on a Saturday, but you don't have to stay the entire time. We encourage all age groups to participate in this and register. Our feature speaker, our keynote speaker is Joaquin Castro. And this conference, it's building upon the momentum of the Black Lives Matter march that students from Alsic and Hastings organized back in June. There were 500 members from the community that showed up, including HPD, including our office. It was a beautiful event, and this is building on top of that. There's the ACLU is going to be at this conference. Black Lives Matter. Officer Whitaker, our very own Officer Whitaker, is going to be there, and other Houston police officers and from universities and activists as well. And so yeah, we encourage everybody to sign up for this. The website to register for this is bit.ly/district/FYC, and it's case sensitive, just a heads up. And again, this will be in our newsletter, and we encourage everyone to share this with everyone, especially kids. We definitely want to push for kids to be more civically engaged, and a lot of them already are, and they're the ones that organized this. So we're just trying to support them. They're the future, yeah. And I think that's about it. Actually, I'm sorry, I lied. There's one last thing I want to bring up. We produced a breast cancer awareness video this month, and it's going to be in our newsletter tomorrow. We interviewed Karen Jackson. She's the CEO of Sisters Network, and their organization, they provide resources and support to breast cancer survivors. You know, this month, October, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so we interviewed her. And also, we also wanted to interview family members of survivors. So we also interviewed Jo Walton. She was generous enough to speak on camera about this. You know, we realized it's a sensitive topic, but she came through for us, and we're super grateful. And you'll see a lot of great information in the video tomorrow in the newsletter. Just a heads up. All right, thank you, everyone. I'm done.
Can you scroll around and show the tree trimming?
The flyer?
Yeah, the tree trimming. Isn't it on there? On tree trimming on your newsletter?
Yeah, that's from last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, if you guys aren't doing anything on Sunday morning, Larry Edwards and I are going to be out trimming trees at High Star, and we trimmed a few last week, or the week before, whenever it was, and we continue to trim them. Those are the trees that the super neighborhood got the city to plant, and we need help. If you can't trim, you can drag limbs. And the city's going to pick up the limbs on Monday after this weekend. So if you can come out and saw off a limb or two, or bring your loppers, we'd appreciate it. The second thing is, I sent out an email today from Harris County. They want people to do a jury service survey. Apparently, they're having a hard time with people showing up for jury service. So if you can fill out that survey, that will give them a hint of who will show up. Yeah, good. Thanks, Long. Okay, anybody else have anything else? It's almost 8 o'clock. I think we had a good, productive meeting.
Can I just say two things? First of all, our cash balance is $6,513.85. And I was talking to Tiffany and complimenting her on the weekly newsletter of how great the layout was and how all the information was in there. And I said, who puts this together?
Long.
And she said Long does. And I said, would you please let him know whether she did Long, but she doesn't have to now because I'm telling you, you're doing a great job. So.
Oh, no, you're too nice. Thank you. It's a team effort, really. It's people send me stuff, so it makes my job easy. Thank you.
Can't you all tell the difference when we have a council member that truly represents us? Imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm really happy with District Deck. Anybody else have anything?
No, Barbara.
Motion?
I make a motion.
There's hands raising all over the place. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again next month.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.